Thank you very much for joining us today to discuss a project that we've got actually in the other gallery, the Queensland Art Gallery in Gallery 4. It's the Pacific Textile Project, and it features textiles and weavings from all across the South Pacific. And today we're extremely honoured to have 4 distinguished guests from the Pacific who are exhibiting, or 3 of them are exhibiting their works in the show, and they're going to tell you a little bit more about their work and about their practice. So we're very, very honoured to have them. We've got Ninga Tuvuki, who's actually from the Fijian Arts Council, and she will speak for Finau Mara, who would like Ninga to speak on her behalf. We've got Gussie Bento, who's a Hawaiian quilter and makes kapakuiki. And we've also got Tungane Broadbent from the Cook Islands, who makes Te Vai Vai, and all of their works are in Gallery 4. So I might start our conversation by asking Ninga to speak a little bit about Finau's work, about the meanings contained within the mats, and also a little bit about how mats function within Fijian society and their importance. Because for us it's extremely important to have this work within a contemporary art context. It's the first time that that's ever been done.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time coming here this afternoon. We are really honored. And on behalf of the Department of Culture in Fiji, which I represent, and we have Finau Mara here as our weaver that's coming from Fiji, which she has her work that's been exhibited in the Pacific Gallery on the other end of the gallery. First of all, just to introduce Finau Mara again, she is a very great weaver, basket weaver and a mat weaver too from Fiji. We have so many wet weavers, but with the Fiji Arts Council that looks after the art and crafts people all around Fiji, we always top Finau as one of our living treasures in weaving. And we are really privileged to have Finau's work that's already been exhibited here. And I just wanted to show each and every one of you who are here today the importance of our mats. First of all, to say that if you think about mats, what is it? It is made of? It is made of pandanus leaves. I'm sure you all know what pandanus leaves, which is here, and that is done, it's shredded out, which is boiled. Then after that, it's dried out, and we have that it's white with the black color that you have on the weaving. That is also dyed as well, because that is put in a swampy area and brought out after a few days, put again to be boiled, mixed with some of traditional leaves, and that's how we have that black color. Even some of the, like you have here, this is a brown color, that is not dyed, that is a original color. We have a plant that's of that brown as well. That is not dyed like the one that we have for the black ones. That is the traditional materials for the mats. And with Fiji, I'm sure it's like other Pacific islands with Samoa or with Tonga. Mats are of different purposes. We have it from births, from deaths, of any traditional activities that we have. It has to be important that we have mats with us. And I'm sure if we don't have mats, that is not traditional, we can say that, because we have to have mats in whatever traditional activity, whether it's marriage, whether it's birth, whether it's death, whether it's somebody to do about an important event, mats has to be there. And I'm sure that is how Fiji says that, or even the Pacific Islands as well, to show that the importance of mats to each and every one of us. With mats as well, some of the mats in Fiji, it shows that this belongs to certain type of people. It belongs to some province. And that, say, in one province or in one island or in one village, it belongs to them. And they are the only person who know how to do that mat. Maybe in most of the Fijian customs, we say that all ladies know how to weave. But in some areas, mats is just significantly known for that area. And that is theirs. That skills is theirs. And they don't teach it to whoever comes in. Like in one area, as I know, with the weaving especially, it's just known within a group of people which that skill belongs to them. With some, it's not only mats. Like I thought of bringing out a fan today. I'm sorry. If you look at this fan, this is a fan that belongs to a village called Ndaku in a province of Tailevu. We have 14 provinces in Fiji, and one of the provinces is Tailevu, where Ndaku fans come from. And it is only known especially for that village. Nobody else knows that. And that is, it's very sacred the way they do it. And even this is very important of this fan is that it's woven in the morning when nobody is around. Or it's the lady who weaves it if they close doors, because this is only theirs. What the story that I've gathered is that when a lady gets married from that village in Ndaku to be taken out, there is a whale's tooth, a tambua. That is something very significant of us in Fiji. A whale's tooth is presented to her to say that that skill has to remain in Ndaku and not to go out from there. That is how that is very special in this weaving. And I'm going to go back again to say that some of the intricate designs that you have here, like what I've already said, that Finau has already transferred those designs onto mat weaving as well. This is how Finau has, her works are very special. And that is just a few things, a few designs that she has made, like that is one. And it depicts most of the things that's just around her. Like what I said in my last topic to say that Finau had known her weaving from her great-grandmother. And she has been there. Like she's not really well educated. As I always already say, Finau, she's just been to a standard of education that was very low, and that is how that she just said, she just got on with, this is how I'm educated, that I live on what I weave every day. And like I said with the audiences before, we've taken Finau almost half of the world to see the world just because of what? Just because of weaving that she has done. And she has woven mats, she has woven baskets. And one thing that it always be very lovely for Finau to say that whatever she has seized from even baskets, I mean bags that she goes to a new country and goes back to Fiji, she tries to transfer that, the looks of the bag, I mean the shapes of the bag, to be in shapes to be done in pandanus leaves. And what you can see in the gallery that she has exhibited, it's a baby mat. With the baby mat that Finau has brought is that, one thing is that we have already, she's already put in the contemporary materials, which is the woolen material and fringed in that mat. But with our traditional baby mat, it's just the pandanus and the hibiscus leaves, like it's just shredded. That is how that's a baby mat looks like in Fiji, or whether it's in coconut leaves. But what she has done is done in pandanus leaf. As I've already said, with the mats, the significance of mats in Fiji, I'll repeat it again. If we don't have mats in any traditional ceremonies that we have, that is not counted as that it's traditional, but it has to be there. That is how we know that mats is very important in any society in the Fiji. Thank you, Maud.
Thank you, Ningal. Now I'd like to call on Gussie to speak a little bit about her art practice, which is Kapakuiki from Hawaii. And Gussie is going to tell us a little bit a little bit about how it began and also about some of the designs that she specifically works with and that are displayed in Gallery 4 at QAG.
Thanks, Maud. Maud's introduction of me said that it's kapakuiki, and for those of you that don't know Hawaiian, kapakuiki translates into quilted covers or bed covers or like the American quilts. The style of quilting was introduced to the Hawaiian women by the American missionary wives that came to Hawaii. They first settled in 1820s. However, the actual style of putting together a quilt as we know Hawaiian quilts today probably didn't come about until sometime in the 1850s. The style that was introduced to the Hawaiian women was more of a patchwork style. The women had the missionary women or the Western women who came had lots of little pieces of fabric that they sewed together and made a patchwork quilt. The Hawaiian women didn't have a lot of little quilt fabric. And so they couldn't see why they needed to take a big piece of cloth and cut it to small pieces to stitch it back again to make a quilt. And so, and because they had a wonderful, Hawaiian women or Hawaiian people have a wonderful, generous, loving nature. And they love plants, they love the ocean, they love the sea, they love flowers. And so it seemed natural that they took this love of nature, translated it into a design, and made a quilt, or designed a quilt focusing on things from nature. Now, that was probably from about the 1850s up until the overthrow of the Hawaiian government in 1883. And at that time, the Hawaiian flag was taken down, and instead of, and so they couldn't fly their flag. And so what the women did is they made a quilt patterned after the Hawaiian flag. And the quilt then was attached under the canopy of their four-poster bed. And so as they lay in bed at night, the flag continued to fly over their head. And so then we had that Hawaiian flag quilts, which were very important and meant a lot to the Hawaiian, not only to the Hawaiian women, but to the Hawaiian people, because it meant that their flag could fly again. The Hawaiian people also loved the rulers that they had, their Hawaiian rulers. They were called ali'i, or the chiefs. And so they then took patterns and designed quilts using symbols, emblems that represented the ali'i. So they took the crown that the king wore, and they cut that and fashioned a pattern using a crown. The Hawaiians had a feather standard that was called a kahili, and only if you were of the highest ranking, chiefly rank, might you have a kahili in your home. And they were used in processions, they were used at funerals, they were used at weddings, and it was a pole, and feathers from their birds were then fixed to a little stem, and they then were all tied on individually. And so the kahili then kind of looked like a fly whisk that you swatted flies with. If you didn't know what the Hawaiians valued them at, they thought, I mean, for them, the kahili was a very important symbol because it represented their ali'i. And so they used that design in their quilts, in addition to the crown. And they even used the fence that lined the palace grounds as a design element. There are 4 Hawaiian quilts on display over in the Art Gallery across the way, and they were made by 4 women, and 3 of them are quilts that honor the ali'i. There's a purple and yellow quilt that was made by a woman, Kepola Kakalia, and that honored our last queen, who was overthrown by the American businessmen. Her name, Liliuokalani, and the quilt is purple on yellow, and it includes Queen Liliuokalani's crown. As a design element, it includes a crown flower that was a favorite flower of the queen. And so that's one quilt there. There's a quilt, the other ali'i quilt, Susie Sugi's quilt is kahili. The kahili, it's a smaller quilt. It's not a full-on quilt, but it's a red and yellow, two royal colors. The Hawaiians love those two colors, and they symbolize the ali'i again. So here they're using colors that had great meaning for them. The third quilt is the quilt that I made, and it's a turquoise on white, and it also features the kahili standard and the crowns of the second to the last Kamehameha king. The fourth quilt on display uses the flower, the naupaka flower, and it's a green on white. But then there's the lady, Margot Morgan, that did that quilt, chose to use a floral design with leaves in her quilt. And I do encourage you to take the time to walk over and look at all of the quilts in that gallery, because not only Hawaiian quilts, but the T5 quilts are there, and from other areas of Polynesia and the Pacific Basin, really, and also the mats. But I do encourage you to come and visit and see them. And if you have any questions, when we're POW, I'd be happy to try to help you or answer your questions.
Gussie, I've just got one more question that you spoke about in your first talk, which was really fantastic, about the difference between kapakuiki and te whaiwhai and te waiwai in terms of the technique. You know how that I think people might want to hear.
The Hawaiian quilts use a process very similar to the American quilts, where the quilt is actually quilted. And with that, I mean there are three layers. There's the bottom layer, the middle layer is a layer of batting, and then the top layer is a piece that has been appliqued with a design. And then when all of that has been completed, then it's actually quilted through all those layers. The difference between Hawaiian quilting, well, T5 quilts don't do that extra step of quilting because there's really no need for a heavy blanket in the Tahiti and Cook Islands or Rarotonga, in those areas. However, there's really no need for the heavy quilting in the Hawaiian quilts either. And so, like Tunani mentioned with the T5 quilts, they were originally made for bed coverings. The Hawaiian quilts also were made for bed coverings, and because we didn't need the warmth, they ended up being more display items, wall hangings, and but they continued to do the quilting. Do I have another minute? The difference between Hawaiian quilting, American quilting, which I think is it takes the Hawaiian quilts to another realm. American quilts, the normal quilting, patchwork quilting, the quilt lines are either diagonal lines that go like this and then back this way, or round circles or turtlebacks. The Hawaiian quilts, the women followed the pattern or the design, and what happens is you have this wonderful ripple effect as you're looking at the quilt, and it's very graceful, and the design then is amplified in the quilt stitch. And that is, to me, the major difference between regular American quilting and the fashion of kapakuiki, which is our Hawaiian quilting. And when you do go over to see the quilts, notice how those quilt lines radiate out from the pattern all the way out to the border of the quilt. Okay.
Thank you very much. No, that's a really good point, because it's true. And now I'd like to ask Tungane Broadbent, who'll speak a little bit about Te Waiwai, practice in the Cook Islands.
Okay, I'm Tungani Broadbent. I think I will start by explaining to you how I cut my tiwaiwai. It's similar to how Gussie cuts her tiwaiwai in Hawaii. The only slight difference is this is mine. The only difference is if you look at this pattern, this is the pattern. What Gussie explained before is theirs is folded again, maybe folded 8 times. Mine is folded 4 times. So that is one big difference in how we cut the tiwaiwai. But the pattern, she's explained her the Hawaiian patterns. In the Cook Islands, we just choose flowers, leaves. This is grapes. By the way, we don't do many, we do have grapes, pineapples, we have pineapple patterns, grape pattern, but not many, we don't use, we don't cut fish patterns, and we don't cut not many shell patterns. We just like the flowers and the leaves, and we like grapes. Not that grapes grow in the Cook Islands, but we do have grape patterns, like the rose pattern, like the roses. The roses don't grow very well in Rarotonga, but we have rose tiwaiwai. Yeah, the tiwaiwai I've got down in the gallery on display is a fan pattern. I don't know how that pattern originated because the fan pattern on that tiwaiwai did not look, we don't have fans like that in the Cook Islands. But you can tell when anybody looks at that tiwaiwai, it is fan. Where it came from, I don't know. But I cut it and sewed it. And it's a Mangayan, it's from Mangaya. Mangaya is the island where I was born, where I lived. And that pattern is from my island. Okay, that's this tiwaiwai, or this style where 2 colors, where we only use 2 colors, is called, we call it manu. This is manu, where we only use 2 colors. This style, although this is only a cushion cover, but we have another kind of tiwaiwai where we draw flowers like this. This is anthurium. And we have different colors, the leaves green and the colors of the flowers, and then we tack it onto a backing. And then we embroider it. We call this one tātaura. I've started one, a flower. Oh, that's the wrong side. And where we embroider the flower, we do stitches all around it, and then wash the fabric, starch it and iron it, and then cut around the flower and place it on the backing like this, and then do the final stitching. That is called embroidery tiwaiwai. So we've got manu tiwaiwai, embroidery or embroidered, and then the third tiwaiwai we make is this one. This is called taore. It's squares. And it may look hard, but I tell you, this is the easiest one to make if you have a person who knows how to do it to show you how. Because once you got your pattern and all your colors, all you got to do is join the squares together. You can sew it on the machine and sew it by hand. Just join the squares together, that's all. But you have to have a pattern. Or you can draw a pattern on the grid and make something on grid paper and color it all to something, and then you sew it on the machine if you don't like sewing by hand. But we like sewing it by hand because this is how our grandmothers learned to sew, because they didn't have any sewing machines in those days, so they sewed it by hand, and we like sewing, I like sewing it by hand. This is what the back looks like. And This is called a tivai, well, they're all called tivaiwais, but this is a taore. And there's 2 taores being displayed down in the gallery. And they're different patterns. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tungane, and thank you to everyone else for giving us a little bit more information, a little bit more insight on these fantastic works. Does anyone have any questions at all? No
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have any question, I'll have to ask you a question. Do you have any special skills like this very important artists who are sitting in front of you? But I just wanted to encourage you, if you do have those skills, please make it live. You have to teach somebody to make that skill live. With Finau, one thing with her is that she has 3 daughters, and all of them know how to weave now. With all the things that she weaves, she has taught the skills to her daughters. And with the Fiji Arts Council, she's one of our resource persons in most of the weaving projects that we always have. And that is why we have here Finau as a very special weaver from Fiji, and that is what she's doing to teach the skills to let it live. And I'm also encouraged each and every one of you who are present here, if you have those type of skills, like this very important, 3 important artists here, please make it live and don't let it die. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for listening, and please join me in really thanking these fantastic artists that have come all the way from the islands to give us their beautiful works and also their insights into how those works function in their culture and how they're made. Thank you.